Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, 3 p.m. It is happy hour. Thank goodness for that. And it's time for another live stream. What's going on today? I've got something not too fancy, just another Miller Lite, another old reliable, and I'm very ready for happy hour today. It has been another week. It hasn't been that necessarily rough of a week. Another 3 days of homeschooling, that kind of stuff, virtual school, whatever we're calling school these days. And then today, things got mixed up a little bit, and not mixed up, but like changed up a little bit. And my father-in-law's, I think his second to last big project for the summer has been to do some work underneath the deck, some like kind of maintenance work, some installing some insulation and stuff, and it was involved a lot of crawling around, like underneath a small space, I didn't really want him to have to do a lot of that, so I tried to get in there and do as much of it as I could. It was cramped. It felt like it reminded me a lot of like those scenes in Die Hard when Bruce Willis is like crawling around through like the HVAC system. It's just really uncomfortable. No, I know one position is uncomfortable, but you're just in an semi-uncomfortable position for a long time. So that's what I was doing like all day today, and now I'm like super tired and exhausted, and I'm ready for job well done beverage. So cheers. How is everybody else doing today? Chris Yao has a 16-ounce Corona Extra on standby. Awesome. I love that they have a drink called the Extra. You know, I just feel like the Corona's like whole naming scheme has been very like accidentally forward looking. Luis Becerra says it's so quiet today. Yo, what's going on? I think it's just a quiet day. I have a sense that it's going to be a quiet day today. That's what I have a feeling. Maybe that's because that's what I'm feeling too. But I have a feeling like just like overall, it's a little bit chill. I think people are kind of like buckling down, getting into not buckling, but like what is it called when you're like getting like, you know, put your nose down to the grindstone, just like head down, do work kind of thing. And so maybe that's what's a little bit of what's going on. That's what I'm feeling for sure. Luis Becerra. Oh, those are crickets. There are cricket emojis. I couldn't see what that was. Awesome. Frank Lahulier's here. He's got water. That's cool. Ty Matt is here as well, giving me some waves. All right. Luis Becerra says nothing much. Just waiting. I gotta say the SL20. That's the word of the day. After 70 miles are still very good. Yeah, I liked them long term. I thought they were a good long term shoe, a really good value. Travis Rogan says he's still gonna go for an easy run soon and beer later. It makes a lot of sense. And not really had Garens has a cup of melted butter for happy hour today. Cool, very cool. Timothy Pettit's here again. Good to see you, Tim. How are you? He's got a rest day coming up. That's something that I've been thinking about a little bit more. I talked and already made a video about using bicycling on like Sunday for my rest days. I think just to accelerate, my knee like always feels good, and then it doesn't feel good, and then it's just like every day it's like today's the day where it's just gonna feel great. But I think that I think maybe running 6 days in a row on it is not good. So I think I need to maybe throw in a lighter day, maybe a little bit of running and a little bit of cycling. Somewhere in the middle of the week, like today, like yesterday would have been a good day for, or maybe today. Because it's just like I'm at this like state where it's like the knee is getting better, but like it's kind of plateaued at this getting better spot. So I just feel like I need to, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with it. Lately, it's been feeling like I hyperextended it. Have you guys ever done that where you've hyperextended your knee and then it kind of hurts and your knee is like, every step is a little bit cautious because you don't want to accidentally hyperextend that joint again. That's kind of what I'm feeling now. So the knee pain is shifting a little bit. It's changing. I don't know if like I'm compensating too much in some other direction and now it's changing things and so new pains are developing. I'm not sure. But like today's run was like great for the first 3 miles, okay for the next 3 miles. And then I was in in the park in New Wine Park, which is grassy up and down, just like constantly up and down. And after like it took me a little bit to get kind of used to that, but then once I was in there, then it felt great the rest of the time. So I had a really solid couple miles in there, and then as soon as I got flat again, then like the knee pain kind of resurfaced. So I'm not sure what's going on. Ty Matt says beer slows him down, so he's going to stick to a good bourbon today. I was thinking about whiskey. Today would have definitely been a whiskey day. If I knew where the whiskey was. I know my father-in-law has some around here. It's not that he hides it. I just don't, they don't like leave it out. But if I were at home, I probably would have gotten at least some Jameson, maybe something a little bit nicer. I don't know that we normally have anything other than Jameson at home. Sometimes, on occasion, we will have like a nicer bottle. Yeah. And his number says, "Hi, Kofuzi and everybody. Another fine day of weather here. Out for another few miles with Pip after work today." That's awesome. Very cool. Ryan Pauly's here. Good to see you. Ricky Reed, Sean Marshall. Good to see you guys. T says, "Hi. Is the Pegasus 37 any good for people with flat feet?" I think it is. Now, I mean, I always have to learn every time someone asks me, and then I do research. For people with flat feet, you want some arch support. You don't not want arch support, right? I think that there is a relatively prominent arch in the Peg 37, and it's also a pretty firm shoe underfoot. And so I think another thing that a lot of people with flat feet need is pronation control. And so I don't think it's a stability shoe by any means, but it's not going to smush in on you. So I think it would work. But if you really need like pronation control, I don't know if you do. I don't know if all flat-footed people do. But then I might go with something with guide rails. And if you want to stay in the Nike family, I think there's a Structure 23 coming out, which I thought that shoe was dead, but they've brought it back in the Structure 23. Or did it never die? I don't think there was a Structure last year, was there? But there's a Structure 23 coming out. So that might be something that you want to look for. Chris Yao says, "The whiskey is deeper in that tiny crawl space." I don't know. I got in there pretty good. I got in there as far as we could. And there was no whiskey in there. A lot of spiders, a lot of worms, a lot of stuff that normally would kind of freak me out. Fortunately, like worms were like the scariest thing down there, because I can imagine there could have been worse. But yeah, I think it's just back in the cabinet, but I didn't look for it. Martha says, "I tried using a Garmin for the first time on indoor treadmill mode. It wasn't exactly the same as treadmill, but amazing, close, and easier to upload on Strava than manual." Yeah. I prefer it. I prefer to use I have a foot pod and the foot pod, so that's why I still will track. I'll turn on the treadmill and have it do whatever, like either a random program in terms of changing elevation, or just have it set it and forget it. But I will always record it on my watch on treadmill mode. And the main reason for that is because I think it's more accurate than the treadmill. I'm sure people have done studies on it in terms of like how accurate or inaccurate the treadmill is, but I don't tend to trust the numbers on the treadmill. Corey Allen says, "Kofuzi, what is your training status in polar flow? Do you usually ignore it? Is it always productive?" I keep a close eye on it. I look at it pretty much every day. Right now, I'm productive. I'm just barely in productive. And I think that's because everything has been pretty easy runs lately. When I was getting ready for that 50-mile run, where I was doing a lot of longer runs and then also throwing in some speed interval, not speed, but like just faster clicks in there, then it had me in overtraining. And then once I was recovering from that, it had me in detraining for quite a long time. Mark Chankoko says, "I think you might need Resco." I think you're kind of right. But I'm like ready to go. That's the thing. Like mentally I'm ready to go. Aerobically I'm ready to go. It's just this mind is willing, but the knee is weak, I guess. Bub Tub says, "T, I found the Peg 36 to be good for a high arch." Okay. Hugo Garcia's here. What's going on, Hugo? Let's see. Ian Gabot says, "What's up?" with many P's at the end of that. Sebanadzovic Kadir says, "I think that Nike shoes are terrible for pronation control, especially Nike Zoom X, because the midsole is rather soft." Yeah, I don't think that a lot of the shoes have pronation control. I mean, for me, that's a feature. But if you're looking for pronation control, I mean, I think in 2019, I think that Structure was eliminated from the lineup in 2019. So I think that meant there was no stability control or pronation control option from Nike last year. And this year, I think they're releasing the Structure 23. And then there's the Infinity Run React. That one has guide rails, so it's not really a stability shoe, but it kind of is. Let's see. Road Review says, how's it going? Just going to listen on my way to work. Oh, awesome, dude. Thanks for tuning in. Gabe's 3D video says, do you ever drink Toppling Goliath, my favorite brewery out your way? Yeah, it's very good. It's good. And for the longest time, because a lot of people in Iowa, well, there really isn't an Iowan accent too much. Some people have a very Midwestern accent, but I do, like, most people say there really isn't an Iowan accent, that it's very just kind of like standard American English. But I think that there is an Iowan accent. Can I distinguish it necessarily from like a Minnesotan accent or like a Nebraskan or Kansan accent? I'm not sure. I don't know enough Nebraskans and Kansans. But for a long time, I couldn't figure out how to say Toppling Goliath. I thought it was Topple and Goliath. Toppling Goliath makes much more sense. Like toppling the giant makes much more sense. But for a while, it took me a really long time to figure that out. And I was just thinking about it today, Gabe, that like my beer selections for happy hour have been pretty disappointing, like all summer long. And part of that is because I don't want to go anywhere to get beers, and so we'll get stuff like on our normal like grocery run, and that's pretty much it. And so like there are a lot of breweries in this area. Breweries are popping up everywhere. There is one locally here. It's called Textile Brewing, and Textile Brewery or Textile. I think it's Textile Brewing. It's called Textile because it used to be in like a clothing factory, and they make decent beers. I haven't had anything from them where I'm like, I got to go back like every week and get another growler. But all the beers are good. So it's like it's nothing. I mean, I haven't sampled the entire menu, but nothing's really jumped out at me yet. But nothing's been bad either. So it's pretty good. And like it seems like every kind of like town around here is developing one, or like someone's starting one up. And so like you could very easily go on a tour of microbreweries in this area, and it's like a 5-minute drive from each one. So it's like, and sometimes it's in some pretty nice roads. Now, should you do a lot of that? Probably not if you're driving, but it can be done. It's nice. There's one up in Manchester that I like. That's a little bit further away. That's probably about 30 minutes from here. But that's I forget what it's called, but it's right by like the river out there, and that's been nice. And we've gone there a whole bunch of times. And then there's another one up in McGregor, which is kind of the other way, but past Guttenberg, which is there was one that was really nice, and it was like a brew pub too, but that closed. And then another, I think, just small brewery opened up, and that one has actually some really good beers that I enjoyed when I was up there. So I don't think Guttenberg has one though, which is a bit of a surprise to me. But there are plenty of places to drink in Guttenberg. Let's see. That's just like my like layout of the land in terms of western Dubuque County or eastern Iowa. Drinking. Lots of places to drink. A couple of places. Nothing bad. Lots good. Not a lot of super excellent, but good. Lots of good stuff. Martha asks, hi Martha, anyone else here register for the BAA virtual distance medley? Despite my low enthusiasm for virtual, I decided this will be good motivation for me. Coach Tom agrees. It's a 5K, a 10K and a half marathon. Oh, that sounds like fun. I wasn't aware of that. I've just kind of been ignoring a lot of the BAA emails. I don't know. It's a difficult reminder, I guess. Ben Y is here, says, hey peeps. What's going on, Ben? And then I just saw something from Shannon. Where did it go? Oh man, really far behind. Sorry, guys. Shannon says, oh, there it is. I says, I trust the treadmill over my Garmin. When I go slow and easy, it's pretty spot on, but when I crank a speed up, the watch barely adjusts the pace. Oh, that's interesting. I guess I've never really cranked it up on a treadmill before, or don't do it frequently. I'll have to test that out. Interesting. Although I don't have access to a treadmill right now. And I think if I ordered a treadmill here and I had one sent, I think my in-laws would like freak out. Not because it's like, just because like I get like a package like every day, and I think that I think that's unusual to get a package delivered every day. It's just my wife and I, we don't like coordinate when we order stuff on Amazon, and it's a big probably carbon footprint waste. But it's when we wait for each other, we end up waiting so long that like we get annoyed and we go out without things, and so like we just order stuff when we need it. And in Chicago, I don't consider it a big deal because it's like there's so many people getting deliveries to our building anyway. They're just throwing another package in the truck. But here it's like a truck has to make like a trip out this way, so we need to work on that better. But if I had like a treadmill delivered, I think they'd be like, man, is there anything this guy won't buy? So, but I do want to kind of buy one because I don't know if you guys saw, but Triathlon Terran put together a life-size Zwift setup for his bike. And so in his, what does he call this thing? His pain cave, he's got it set up. So like the Zwift thing shoots in there and the giant screen, and it's like life-size when he looks at his like avatar or himself on the bike in the game. And he posted on a couple of places, like on Instagram and then his Instagram story. And I messaged him. I'm like, that looks pretty insane. And he's like, so you're going to do one for a treadmill? And I was like, that's like a fun idea. I think I would actually kind of really like that. Yeah, but like, I don't know where I would do that. I mean, we've already taken over like my in-laws' house. We've taken over one of the stalls of their garage with all our bikes. We've taken over like multiple of their bedrooms. We've taken over their dining room. We've taken over the living. We've taken over everything. So like I can't ask for more. I think that might be too much, but I'd like to do it. Let's see. Someone said Brian Tambourine says, Brian, is that really your last name, Tambourine? That's pretty cool. It says CIM announcement delayed a week till 9/25. Ooh. I mean, how can they? I mean, the entire West Coast is on fire. Like how? I mean, I suppose they're assuming by December the fires will be under control, but it just interesting. Let's see. Matthew Lucas says, what would you recommend for cutting down time? Drills? Stop miles? I'm on 7-minute miles now, and I just can't imagine being quicker. Well, I mean, that's pretty fast, Matthew, but I would say generally my answer for that would be twofold, and it's kind of the two answers I always give. It's always the answer. No matter almost what the running question is, the answer is almost always the same. One is to run more miles, and the second is to run your easy days easy and your hard days hard, and don't mix up the two. And so I don't know if you're running 7-minute miles every single run. But what I would suggest to get faster is for some of your runs, if not the majority of your runs, run slower than 7 minutes per mile. And then 2 times a week or so, or however many workout days you want to have, you're going to run much faster than 7-minute miles. And then you're going to get faster. So it's the 80-20 principle. So those are the 2 things I would recommend. Gavin Brain says, I wish I was sleeping in ice cold Miller Lite. It's pretty good. It hits the spot today. Forever One says he's been testing out the Infinity React a lot. I hope you've been liking it. I thought it was a good shoe. It seemed a little bit heavy, a little bit wide in the platform on the bottom, like for a Nike shoe. But other than that, I thought it was a good shoe. It agreed with me. Jonathan, when did you move to New Vienna? What it looks like there? Well, I mean, we didn't move here. I mean, we're here and we've been here for a while. We've been here since July. So we left Chicago end of May, and we were in Gothenburg for 4 weeks. We were thinking we'd be there for 2, and just to quarantine ourselves and then come here. But then for whatever reason, we stayed there for 4 weeks, and then we came over here to my in-laws' place. So since July, basically, or end of June, So it's what, 2.5 months now. It's been a long time, but I mean, it's gone by really fast. I think everyone's enjoying it. My kids are enjoying it here. I'm enjoying it here. I think my wife's enjoying it here. I think my in-laws enjoy it here, but I also feel like, as much as they love kids and they're always the family that like had everyone over and like we're always entertaining. Sometimes I think about like, well, it's been a long time since they've had their kids living at home, and they're probably used to, as much as they enjoy like the hustle and bustle of having people around, I'm sure like at this point they're like pretty fatigued of having us around. But it's been good. The running is really nice out here. I actually I kind of like made a friend. I was running on the Vasky Road loop yesterday, and for any of you paying like attention, not that you should, but in case you were, on Strava there was a moment where like for a couple of minutes I wasn't moving, and I was certain that someone was going to suggest that I was pooping. But actually what happened was there was a lady walking her dog, a giant like standard poodle dog, not a this kind of poodle, but like a this kind of poodle. And I waved to her and it was on like a dirt road where I almost see nobody ever. Sometimes I'll see like a pickup truck pulling like one of those trailers that can haul horses or cows, that kind of thing. But very rarely any people. She was actually the first human I've seen. And so I waved to her, and she's like, "Oh, hey, you from around here?" And I was like, "Oh, well, kind of." And so like I stopped and we chatted for a little while, and I was telling her about like the running's real nice around here, and she was like, "Yeah, it's probably pretty different from Chicago. Is that weird?" I'm like, "It's not weird because my wife's from here, and I've been running back here for like 10 years, but it's very different, and I enjoy it. Rolling hills, soft surfaces, it's great for running." And so we just chatted about running. I think her son runs for a while, and then I couldn't tell then, because then the way she was talking, she said that like her son has noticed that there's a runner out in the area, and then she said, "And Buster always lets me know when there's a runner around." And I think Buster was the dog. So I don't know if she was saying her son is the dog or if there's a son and a dog. I'm not sure. I got a little confused. But anyway, it was a nice interaction. Across from like as far away as I could be, like across this from one end of the street, side of the street to the other. And then today I saw her again because I did a similar loop, and she was driving, and I gave her a big wave, and she gave me a big wave. So I kind of made a friend. So the running is nice, and it's been nice to make some more friends. Like, and there's other people that I see like on that road, and other roads around here, because I have about the same schedule. I run about the time that a lot of people around here are going to work. And so or going to school, and so I see a lot of the same people all the time. So I'm getting a lot of people recognize me now, I think. So let's see. Corey Allen says, "I read a rumor that the Polar Vantage Series 2 are coming out in October or November. They accidentally posted on a Finnish website. As most know, the Vantage Series no longer get enhancement updates." Oh, that's interesting. I don't have any information on that. Sometimes Polar gives me information ahead of time. I don't have anything on that. Power Dan says, "Did you see the latest Cocochino Cowboys vid about Jim's Hard Rock FKT attempt? Jim is such a humble dude, and he runs like a freaking gazelle." I didn't see that one. I haven't seen that one yet. I'll have to check it out. Someone mentioned that yesterday, and I was like, I don't know anything about that. All right, Martha's talking about CIM. And she says, regarding CIM, "My coach Tom, who's privy to inside knowledge," she says they're considering a smaller field, like 2,000, and wondering how they'll decide who gets in. That's tough. That's really tough. I think a smaller field makes a lot of sense, but it's going to make a lot of people mad. So is it worth it to make a lot of people mad? That's tough. Really, really tough. Cody Vecchio says, "Thanks for being an inspiration for running, my guy. You helped me push myself a lot." Thank you. Well, thanks, Cody. And, I'm just the dude here. You're the one doing all the running, so good work. I appreciate the compliment, but you're doing all the work, so I'm glad you're getting after it. Bert Leguez says, "The Odyssey React was marketed on the Nike web shop as a stability shoe. It nearly destroyed my ankles. Then they marketed the Infinity Run as a stability option. The structure is the best option." Yeah, I don't really consider either of those, the Odyssey React or the Infinity Run, to be stability shoes. Like the Odyssey React, I know it had like the beginnings of that, like it kind of looks like the Miler in terms of it has like a mini guide rail system on it, but like yeah, No, I wouldn't consider that a stability shoe, but the structure is the best one. Yeah. Simon Evans likes the Saucony Guide 13 all the way for stability control. Not intrusive with the medial posting, and it's cushioned. All right, I'm gonna scroll all the way down because I'm like way behind on comments. Sorry. For everyone says, I'm from California. My friend temporarily lived in Iowa for a couple of years and complained about how there's nothing to do there. He should have gotten into running earlier. He should have. There's good running or cycling. Cycling's really good around here too. Lots of people are into that here. It's to the point where like a lot of the really good recreational trails, if it gets really popular, then they're like, all right, time to pave it. And like my wife and I were talking about it, and we're like, I don't understand that. And I was like, I think it's because everyone here rides bicycles. So, yeah. Yeah. Corey Allen says, finally you answered the Vasky question. I see all your Strava runs titled Vasky, and people comment asking what it means. Do they really? I haven't seen that, what Vasky means. It's Vasky Road. That's the name of the road. So like I make a left and then another left. And then if I make the next left again, that's the new Vienna Loop Road. But if I don't make that immediate left and I go another road down and make a left there, that's Vasky Road. So that's how I name all the routes by the roads. So Stevie76 is making friends in Iowa. Yeah, I mean, as much as that's possible in like a time of pandemic in a state where people refuse to believe that it's a real thing. I'm not trying. It's happening. Just on accident. She seemed like a nice lady. She's probably about my age, maybe a little bit older. But like, what's funny about that though in Iowa is like people that are like my age have kids that are like 10 years older than my kids. So like even if we're like contemporaries, like age-wise, like we're in completely different life places, and so we probably wouldn't hang out. Just kind of like how it's like in Chicago, like once you have kids, you really don't hang out with people that don't have kids anymore, because the people that don't have kids yet or won't have kids just have no patience for parents, and parents have like patience and understand on a different level, and so like you can be friends with other couples if they're parents, and it's just like you got the timings. Not only do your like personalities have to mesh, like your life places have to mesh too. Making friends is hard. I've had a hard time making friends my entire life. Now that I'm an adult, it's even harder. Although like it's never gotten easier. I just care a lot less. I have other things to do, you know. So like it's not a big thing for me. I'm a natural introvert. So like, yeah, I'm very well suited for pandemic life. Bert Lagasse says, first 200 meters with my headlight, 2 bugs hit my head. I was thinking, I need to start a vlog. Trail running sucks. There you go. I'd watch it. I'll watch it. For everyone says, are you much of a coffee enthusiast? I don't know if like enthusiast is the right word, but I like a lot of coffee. So, let's see. Bert says, for the first time in my life, I did hill repeats tonight, but it was in the dark and on a trail with the headlamp eating bugs. There we go. Sorry, I'm reading the comments backwards. All right, let's go back down to the bottom. Frank Lahudi says, Frankie Friends is hard. Yeah, thanks. Running with Pete says, my mother-in-law lives in Holy Cross, a few miles from you. She loves the videos. Oh, awesome. That's cool. That's cool, Pete. Awesome. Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah, I told the lady, because she saw like my selfie stick that the lady I made friends with, and she asked like, oh, you're in New Vienna? And she's like, where are you from? And I'm like, well, I live in New Vienna. As if we were somewhere really far from New Vienna, me not realizing that like we were standing in New Vienna. And so like, she's like, oh, who do you live with? And I was like, oh, well, my wife's from here. I'm living with my in-laws now. She didn't know who they were, which I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, we live a couple of doors down from the big church. And she's like, oh, okay. So that's why she kind of knew where we were at. And, yeah, she's like, what do you do with that camera? You just take selfies when you run? I'm like, kind of. Yeah, I make videos and I'm on YouTube, but yeah, I just make I take a lot of selfies every day. But if you go on YouTube and like search for New Vienna, you'll find one of my videos. She's like, oh, okay. I don't know if she ever did or not. She probably didn't, but that's okay. But I think it's awesome that your mother-in-law lives out here, Pete. Very cool. I think have we had this conversation before? I think we did. think we did. That sounds familiar. Martha says, I think lots of us feel like we're making friends here, and it would be wonderful to meet each other in person someday. I couldn't agree with that more, Martha. I think that'd be like super awesome. I don't know how or when that's going to happen, but I mean, depending on who you believe, we could do it next weekend if we wanted, or in 2024. It just depends on who you believe right now. Mark Chenko says, I find myself preferring to be alone 97% of the time. Yeah. The only problem with that, I can relate to that, but the only problem is the 97% of the time that I want to be alone rarely coincides with the time that I can be alone. And the 3% of the time that I want to be with other people tends to happen when I'm not with other people. That's the introvert's dilemma. Ben Y says, I was talking to a friend about running and personality types. Do you think introverts are more likely to be runners? I think they're more likely to be distance runners in a sense. The other hand, though, like if you think about like who are the people, like who was like the first person that you met that ran a marathon, is probably some type A overachiever that loves to-do lists as their first hobby, and as their second favorite hobby is crossing off things on their to-do list. So I feel like, you know, it appeals to many kinds of personality types. But, you know, I think that long distance running, very long distance running, certainly has an appeal for, I think, a lot of introverts. Plant Power Dan says, introverted people probably prefer to run alone, whereas extroverted people seek communities of runners. I think that's much more well said than what I was trying to say. But really, we're also introverted due to the training our devices provide. No, that's true too. Jeff Elliott says, I've always been an introvert, but it's gotten a bit extreme during the pandemic. That is definitely an understatement, for sure. Jody Run says, if we all got together, we would need to ensure there is a large cornfield. I enjoy my privacy. I do try to, on the, whenever I do like a real life Kofuzi Run Club, I always try to figure out where the bathrooms are. And in fact, in the one in Austin, I peeled off from the group because I had to poop real bad. And then it turned out that the bathroom I wanted to go to was locked. So I caught up to the rest of the group, said goodbye to everyone, and then I think I ran to, was it at Whole Foods? There's a Whole Foods or something nearby, and I went to the bathroom there. Yeah, I've always been this way, I guess. Steve E says, marathon culture has changed, I feel, more inclusive. I think so, and I think that's for the better, too. Yeah. Crispin Greco's here. You are in the right live stream. Awesome. Martha says, we need a porta potty for the Weird Mile series. Summer 2022 if 2021 doesn't work. That's so funny. Brian Nee says, On Running recently announced a subscription model for a fully recyclable shoe called the Cyclone. I get that. I like that. Cycle, recycle, on. I get it. Looks interesting. I hope more shoe companies come out with sustainable options. I think that definitely the trend for 2020, or it would have been the trend, other than like super shoes, like would have been like part of it on one end, but then on the other end, I think sustainable shoes is definitely something that's becoming more. And there's there's a whole like spectrum of sustainable shoes too. But I think we're definitely going to see a lot more of that in 2020 and 2021. Let's see. Derek Dixon says, speaking of happy hour, I think it's funny that Michelob Ultra advertises themselves as a runner's beer touting only 96 calories. I cringe at their commercials. Don't we want runners want all the calories? Yeah, I think that I think it's weird that Michelob like is advertising as basically, I mean, I think it's genius. It's really smart. And they like Michelob advertises itself like it's a recovery drink. Like it's a Gatorade. And if you do it that way, it just makes more like an adult Gatorade, and it just makes the commercials all start to make a lot more sense. And how that's possible when there's alcohol in it. I mean, not that alcohol is. I mean, alcohol slows down recovery, and it could impede some of the benefits from your hard fought workout. But the other things that are in beer are supposed to be pretty good for recovery, aren't they? So I don't know. It is very strange the way that they advertise. And then Stevie76 wants to know, which Whole Foods did I poop in Austin? Was it the Whole Foods on Lamar? I'm not sure. I don't know. I just looked up like the nearest Whole Foods or coffee shop in Austin from where we were. We were somewhere around the, was it Ladybird Lake? Somewhere in there? Yeah. So I'm not sure. Jennifer Herring says, yes, that is for sure. That's why I run in circles in my community. Too many close calls. Oh, yeah. All right. Sean Marshall says, interesting. I think I run because I'm type B, but the world wants me to be type A, LOL. And after I run, I feel like I'm too relaxed to be bothered by the expectations. Yeah, I mean, I think that there is something to be said for the way that running tires you out. That like it reduces your, not tolerance, but your level of caring about certain things that maybe we might overemphasize in our lives. I equate it to a lot of times like it's like they're like my kids when they have like too much energy and they just need to get outside and burn some of it off. If they don't burn it off, they're counterproductive and destructive and loud, and they don't focus, and it's hard to kind of like be with them indoors when they're in that kind of state. I think I'm pretty much always a curmudgeon, but I'm even more so when I don't get my run in the morning. And so like I just need to like it's a way of like, I mean, speaking of happy hour, like it's a way of taking the edge off, and it turns the volume down. Which way is going to be down for you guys? It turns the volume down on things that just aren't as important. Whereas like if you don't and they have like a lot of pent up energy, every little thing just gets cranked up all the way, whether it deserves to be or not. Recycle on Wednesday says, a couple months into the pandemic, my friend said she was struggling due to isolation. I said, oh no, what happened? And I forgot that there was widespread isolation because it wasn't any different for me. Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day, and like I just feel like I've been on a really long running vacation. And for me, it's been really nice. I haven't been getting work emails. Oh, I'm starting to get some more now. And it's just been great. I mean, I haven't been able to see some people, but, being here with my in-laws, most of our summers involve coming back here anyway. So it was like pretty, like, I feel like it definitely affects some people more than others. It didn't affect me as much. Simon Evans says, if you poop in a cornfield, do you use the corn cob like the Romans used a sponge? No, I don't, because then I would have to like, shuck the corn and like take it off of the stalk, and I wouldn't want to do that. I don't mind pooping in that area, but I don't want to like take someone's crop. That's, I think, different. Let's see. Gavin Braden says, if Kofuzi poops in a cornfield and there's no one around to see it, has he really pooped? And Martha says, only if it's recorded on Strava. I mean, and they're always recorded on Strava. I don't demarcate them, but like if you ever see like, well, yesterday was an exception because there was a gap, where the pace was like 0 basically. But if you ever see that otherwise, or just see like the tracing just like drop all of a sudden and then it comes back, I probably pause the watch while pooping, just letting you guys know. I don't know. Stevie says, how many rows deep do I go in? I usually don't go in the field because I don't want to I'm already trespassing, but I don't want to be in the field. But there was that one time where I got to the field and there was like 2 stalks of corn were like removed, and it was almost like a doorway had been created. So that's what I did. So, yeah. Sean Marshall says, it would be funny if you could put a poop emoji on the Strava GPS map. I mean, I think it would be great if you could put emojis generally along the map. I mean, don't you think that'd be important? Like if you could put like along the map, like where there's a hill, you could put a mountain emoji. Where you had a rough patch, you put like an unhappy face. If you had to poop, you put another one. You put like the one where like the emoji where like the one is sweating, like if you're having GI troubles. I think that'd be kind of fun. I don't know. I don't know how people are doing it. Some people are they put the black heart on their Strava graphs. I don't know how people are doing that. It never concerned me enough to look it up. I'm sure I could find it, but I never figured that out. Ian really says, how did running with your mother-in-law's dog go? I kind of gave up on that. I'm very nervous to do it because like I'm just not confident that I could I don't want to let her off the leash when we're running. And then I also like the way that she's just still having a hard time kind of staying focused with me. She's very focused when my mother-in-law walks her. But when she walks or runs with me, like the leash keeps getting tangled up. And so I just feel like it's awkward and cumbersome for her. So I just don't think that the dog likes it. So. ATCJR says SL20 versus endorphin speed, which is better. I would say the endorphin speed is better, but the SL20 is can be found for a half or less of the price. So, Simon Evans says, imagine squatting to poop and then you hear a combine harvester approaching behind you. Yeah, I mean that's certainly a potential thing that could happen, but I think I would hear it before I would stop. So that's I don't think it's probable. It's possible, but not probable. Plant Power Dan said, that's a great idea, actually. A runner could mark a hazard, and someone running that route could be notified of a washout or a pack of vicious dogs or a creepy dude pooping in the corner. There you go. There we go. There needs to be like a creeper icon. Maybe not the full gamut of emojis, but like a handful. Like a creeper, dogs. Like unleashed dogs, that could be a useful one. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, like Chris said, like Waze version of Strava. I think that I would like it. It'd be kind of fun. I mean, I think it would add to like whenever you're going to a new area and you're trying to figure out like where to run. You could also put water fountains and bathrooms. That could be really useful. I mean, some people might find that useful. I would really want that. I would want that. Jeff Elliott says, if you want dog running advice, I have some. I use a harness so the leash is attached to her lower back and doesn't get wrapped up in her feet. We also walk first and then run, and they are separate. Yeah. I've tried that, and I've done the harness so it's on the back too. But like she still, I mean, she's not a puppy anymore, but she still just chews on the leash a lot. Yeah. So I've been having a hard time, and I would like if I got that dog run over by a car. I think we'd probably have to leave. So there's a lot of risk. So, yeah. And Jeff Elliott says having your dog on a leash with you on a run would be a bigger hassle with the other off-leash dogs. Yeah, there are a lot of off-leash dogs in the neighborhood. So that's like the other concern. So I think that, maybe I just need to give her, I think I need to give it a second shot. But we'll see. Manny Praise 116 says, which watch do you use to run? Right now I'm using two. This is the Coros Apex, and this is the Polar Grit X. Both of them are really good. I like them both. But my favorite is the Grit X. This watch has just been indestructible. Although I did kind of scuff it up today. Nope, that's just dirt and other stuff. Rummaging around through the rocks underneath the deck. Anyway. Let's see. Yeah, Ian really says, just stick with the stray puppos. I think it's kind of working for me, Nathan Power says, don't run with your dog. It's brutal for them. Yeah, I mean, I've been aware that it could be tough on her, the pads of her feet. And that's why I'd like to be able to run with her off leash, because then she can run in the ditch where it's like grassy, muddy, or in the grass, or on the dirt road next to me, depending on whatever she was feeling like. But if I keep her on the leash, then that limits her ability to find a softer surface to run on. So that's my bigger concern. And then if I have like a longer leash, then then the tripping hazard becomes greater. But I think I just need to figure it out, build up to it. We'll do a little bit at a time, and maybe that would be better for my knee anyway. So, two wrongs make a right, I guess, maybe. Simon Evans says, there's a lookout point car park that I used to run through and now avoid that really needs the creepy dude emoji. So he means it's full of doggers. Wow, that's funny. That's funny. I mean, I think that could be useful for a lot of people. Just kind of like, hey, this neighborhood's sketchy. Although that is fraught with problems, having like a avoid this neighborhood, it's sketchy emoji. But maybe like a creepy dude warning. I think that could be useful. All right. Donna Torino says, I am running again after 20 years due to COVID gym closures. I am 50 and never thought I could run again. Up to a 5-mile long run attempt this Sunday. Loving your channel. Oh, that's awesome, Donna. Good luck on the 5-mile this Sunday. Very cool. And sorry that the gyms are all closed, but I'm glad that you found running again. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Oh, bell for Donna, for sure. This one's for you, Donna. Congratulations on working back up all that running distance. And this one's for you. Good luck on Sunday. Jody Run says, are you thinking of getting the I'll probably make this the last one for today, and then I gotta get going. Jody Run says, are you thinking of getting the GoPro 9? Apart from the front-facing screen, I can't see any value in upgrading. I did order the GoPro 9, and the biggest reason was because it was cheap, air quotes, because like they really are trying to get people to do the GoPro subscription, and so if you signed up you got a free subscription, I think, and they took a whole bunch off of the price of the GoPro, so it was like $300. But that subscription could auto renew in a year, and so I think they're just hoping that people will just stay or get hooked on it on the product. But I'm looking forward to the enhanced stabilization, and I feel like they're really trying to turn it into like the new version of the point and shoot, so people that want to like vlog with it, making it more useful there. And so I'm hoping that there are significant audio improvements. They didn't really talk. I didn't see like any kind of like keynote about it, but I think, and I don't know if maybe they're saving all the audio improvements for the microphone attachment, the mod, which I don't like the mods at all. But I'm hoping for stability improvements and microphone improvements. And it's interesting that it's 5K. That's not that useful for me. All the frame rates and resolutions still are kind of at the same spot that they were in the GoPro Hero 8. But I'm interested in like the horizon leveling, some of those other things I just think are interesting enough for me that someone that uses a GoPro like basically every day, worth taking a look at, I think, for me. So I did order one. We'll see how it goes soon. All right. Well, that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow's video is going to be about the Hoka Clifton 7 after 100 miles. So keep an eye out for that one. And spoiler alert, still great after 100 miles. And then we'll do another live stream in the afternoon, same time, 3 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. In the meantime, be safe, everybody. Thanks.